How's everybody doing? It's Hank back with another short discussion of the Two Birds and a Third Football Podcast channel. I am here to discuss another thing that I don't really want to discuss, but it's something that comes from your team winning a Super Bowl or being successful. One of the main groups of people that I have criticized the most in the National Football League have been bandwagon fans. 2011, 2012, 2013, after those seasons, after the San Francisco 49ers were eliminated from the playoffs or eliminated or lost the Super Bowl, I was one of the driving forces of people. Even the New Orleans Saints fans, I was one of the driving forces of people who came out and called out bandwagon fans in those fan bases. And I really went after 49ers fans because I lived in the Bay Area from 2003 all the way up to 2008, and seeing that team struggle from 2003 all the way to 2010, where that team did not even put up a winning record, did not go to the playoffs, and seeing that fan base so far whittled down. Then they pick up Jim Harbaugh to be their head coach. I think they had a 12-4 or a 13-3 season, and so many 49ers fans started piling up from out of nowhere. People who I've known who never watched football in their lives. Now, I will have to say that the Bay Area is a hotbed for bandwagon fans. I mean, the same thing happened with the San Francisco Giants. The same thing happened with the Golden State Warriors. I think really the only team that it didn't happen to was the San Jose Sharks, because they've always been good. As far back as I can remember, they've always been good. And I got a lot of flack from those videos because a lot of people denied the fact that 49ers fans were not either fair weather or bandwagon fans. I wasn't actually saying that all of them were fair weather or bandwagon fans, but when you start noticing people who never watched football, never watched sports, starting to wear gear, you're walking down the streets, and because I moved back to the Bay Area, you're walking down the streets and you're seeing people wearing 49ers gear, and then 3 years later, when they're either 8-8 or they're 4-12 with Jim Tomsula, and they got rid of Jim Harbaugh, and now you don't see 49ers fans anywhere. I saw more Raiders fans, especially after the Raiders had beaten the 49ers. I barely saw any 49ers fans. So this isn't about the 49ers fans being fair weather or bandwagon, because, I barely saw any 49ers fans where I live, and I do live in California still. And I saw 49ers fans, just so many of them, when Jimmy Garoppolo was playing well and they're in that 5-game winning streak. And I know a lot of people will be like, well, you live in California, how are you an Eagles fan? Well, I'm from the East Coast. I was born in New Jersey. My mother's family was Philadelphia Eagles fans, and that is what really got me into being an Eagles fan back in the 90s. And by the way, the first season I ever became an Eagles fan, they had a losing record, so I don't really have to explain myself there. But with the fact that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, I've seen Seahawks fans bandwagon, I've seen Panthers fans bandwagon. No, don't get this twisted. Not all of them. Not the core group. Okay, you know who you are. Arizona Cardinals fans bandwagon. I saw that where that was. Patriots fans bandwagon. And I always said this, okay? I always said this. If you are going to become a fan of a team, stay a fan of that team. I would like to say that I could tell people that you can't be a fan of this team because you weren't around during the bad times. But I can't say that. I really can't. I would love to say it, but I don't have control of the fan bases and the teams everyone supports. I have no control over that. But I know that people are going to start supporting the Birds after they won the Super Bowl. And again, I would love to be that party pooper who just says, "Okay, no, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to celebrate this year because you weren't a fan." And again, that last video that I made, those two individuals, I consider those two fans. I would love for those two to give up their fan cards because they're not good for the fan base. But, I've criticized the team. I went after the team. I went after the team when the Eagles had Chimp and Chimp was making all the bad moves. I got a lot of criticism for that. I wasn't proud of that, but I'm here to speak my opinion, which is why I can't go after those two for being fans, because I don't know why those two are fans. I don't know how those two are fans. I don't know if they do things on YouTube for drama or for views or if they have mental issues. I have no idea. But if you are going to become an Eagles fan and you were not an Eagles fan back in 2016, you were not an Eagles fan back in 2015 when the team lost all their players. You weren't a fan in 2014 when the Eagles were 9-3 going into week 12 or 13 and then ended up going 10-6 and missing the playoffs. If you weren't an Eagles fan when the team was 4-12 in 2012 when, the team had all these injuries and they fired Andy Reid, if you weren't a fan during Dream Team season, if you weren't a fan during 2005 when Donovan McNabb went down with a sports hernia, if you weren't an Eagles fan back when the team had losing records in the late 90s, if you weren't a fan then and you are a fan now, stay a fan. I've always said that when it comes to bandwagon fans and fair weather fans, I respect bandwagon fans a whole lot more than I respect fair weather fans. Because bandwagon fans, you can argue, okay, you're gonna get a team. Obviously, now you're interested in football and you want a team. And you picked your team. Okay, stick with your team. But, and this is a big but, and I cannot lie, if you jumped off of the fan base or stopped supporting the team or stopped watching the team because the team was losing or you never thought that they win a Super Bowl, then to me, you should not be allowed back. You should not be allowed to come back. That's just my opinion. That's my insight. I hope everyone's having a good weekend. Again, if you become a fan of a team, support that team. You don't have to support the team the same way you always do. But if someone's like, hey, what's your favorite basketball team? I'm going to say it's the Nets. I know that they won't be good until maybe the mid-2020s because of all those draft picks that they gave to Boston. But I'm still a Nets fan. I'm still as much of a Nets fan as I've always been. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you are a fan of a team, stay a fan of that team. Don't jump off the bandwagon because you are 100% more of a disrespectful person than someone who just joined a team. That's all I got. Peace.